What's up, guys? So in today's video, we are going to pin up David versus Goliath in terms of gaming PCs and pre-built PCs in general. So we're going to be looking at VRLA Tech versus Dell. So sort of a newcomer, a smaller name in the PC industry versus one of the biggest names out there in Dell. And we're really going to be honing in on their gaming PC products. So really sort of the entire VRLA Tech gaming lineup versus the Dell G5 and everything, all the configurations that encompasses. But before we actually jump into the builds, I just want to sort of start this off by saying that there's a bunch of shortages still. Even suppliers as big as Dell are still experiencing shortages, so shipping speeds are kind of all over the place. So I'll try to pay attention to when these PCs will actually ship. But for the most part, with VRLA Tech, you're looking at about 8 to 9 week delay from when you would expect your PC. So probably a couple weeks to normally get the PC plus tack on those 8 to 9 weeks. And then with Dell, depending on the configuration, you're looking at the end of April, end of April, all the way to the middle of May. So there you're looking at between 4 and 6 weeks in order to get a PC, but I'll try to pay attention to each specific configuration to see when they will actually ship out. So let's get started with VRLA Tech and the budget lineup. So they have their entry-level PC lineup, and it starts off with the Rogue. So the Rogue is an Intel Core i3 9100F and an RX 570. So you're getting a couple to a few-year-old hardware when it comes to the main components. The case looks pretty slick, not too bad. But if we jump into the actual details of this build, and I will start off by saying this particular build is out of stock currently, but it should hopefully come back in stock pretty soon. So you get an H310 motherboard, so not the best board, a 1 terabyte HDD, so you're not getting any solid state storage with this build, a 500 watt power supply, Windows 10 of course, a stock cooler, so you're not of course going to get very good cooling, but it's an i3, so you shouldn't be too worried about it, and 16 gigs of RAM. Either 1x16 or 2x8. Of course, definitely go with 2x8 so you can utilize dual channel, and the RX 570. You can, of course, add some different adapters, some different CPU coolers, a graphics card upgrade if you would like. But for the most part, this is their base configuration, and like I said, it's currently out of stock. One comes in at $749. So $750, you get an i3 9100F and an RX 570. Now, if we jump over to the Dell G5, you're looking at an Intel 10th Gen i3 10100. So pretty much the same chip, but you're going from 4-core, 4 threads with the 9100F. No hyper-threading at all. With the 10100, you do get hyper-threading, so you're going to 4 cores and 8 threads. So you're looking at like an i7 prior to the 7700 level performance with this i3. You also get a NVIDIA GTX 1650 Super, so definitely a step up from that RX 570. A 360 watt power supply with just basic lighting. It's going to be fully enclosed like seen in the picture here. 8 gigs, so a 1x8 gig slot. You could upgrade it to 16 gigs, so 2x8 for an extra $100. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. I would most likely just say buy the PC, get a kit of 2x8 gig DIMMs on either Newegg or Amazon for like $70 and upgrade it to higher speed memory. This one's only running at 2666 and get better performance out of your RAM. And then you get a 1 terabyte hard drive, just like the VRLA Tech Rogue PC. And this one comes in currently, normally $755, but right now $735. And this one is expected to ship by May 19th. So that is at this point about 7 weeks out. So not as bad as VRLA Tech, but still not great. You're going to be waiting almost 2 months in order to get a PC. So now that we looked at the Rogue and the Dell G5 at around that $750 price point, if we were to do a 5,000 subscriber giveaway for the channel, which PC would you rather have? Would you rather have the 9100F and the RX 570 or the 10100 and the GTX 1650 Super? Definitely leave your answers in the comments below. I will be looking at them for sure. And I'm definitely thinking about doing the giveaway. So leave me your thoughts, leave me your input in the comments below. But let's get back to some of these other builds. Now, if we jump over back to VRLA Tech and just take a look at sort of their last two setups. So you have the Aurora and the Legacy. Those are the last two in their entry-level sort of segment. So the Aurora has either a 3200G So again, 4 cores, or an i3-9100F, and a GTX 1650 Super. So you're pretty much looking at the exact same build we just did from Dell, but for $899 versus $734 from Dell. So this is where Dell kind of starts taking a little bit of a jump on VRLA Tech. Even if you spent the $98 with Dell and upgraded the RAM to 16 gigs, then you're looking at $850. So you're actually undercutting VRLA Tech by $50. Now, of course, this is a dark flash case. It's pretty much all consumer grade hardware. So if you wanted to do some upgrades down the line, these systems from VRLA Tech are definitely going to be easier than upgrading a Dell system down the line. But if you're just looking to buy a Prebuilt, play on it for however many years, 3-4 years, and then upgrade to a different Prebuilt after you're done with that particular system, then Dell might honestly look a little bit better than VRLA Tech at this point. You're saving money, you're getting a better system than what you can get from VRLA Tech. Now, let's look at the legacy. So now you get a Ryzen 5 2600, so it's a few years old in terms of hardware. So that's a 6-core, 12-thread CPU, and you're getting an RX 5500 XT, and that is for $1,000. So of course, with this one, it's pretty much the same setup as the other two, but you still get 16 gigs of RAM, and now you're getting a bit of an upgraded storage situation with 120 gig SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive. Now, it doesn't particularly say if that 5500 XT is the 4 gig or the 8 gig version. I would assume it'd be the 8 gig version. Either way, pretty good performance from a 5500 XT, and for the most part, at $1,000, it's honestly not too bad of a price. But let's take a look at Dell and see exactly what kind of configuration we can put together to compete with that build. So now what we're going to have to do is go up to an i5-10400F. So that gives us 6 cores and 12 threads, just like the 2600, but at higher speeds and newer, of course, than the 2600 from AMD. And in order to get similar level performance to a 5500 XT, actually better performance than that card, we're going to spend the extra $49. The upgrades for these Dell PCs are honestly pretty well priced outside of RAM. So for $49, we go up to a 1660 Super, and now we're only at $881 for a better system than VRLA Tech minus the RAM. So of course, if we spend the extra $98 for the 2x8 gig DIMM, now we're looking at $979. So very similar in terms of price, very similar in terms of performance. Now the one thing to sort of make these things the exact same would be to upgrade for $49 to go to a 128 gig SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive. So now you're looking at around $28 more expensive than the VRLA Tech PC, but you're getting better components. You're getting a newer CPU, a better graphics card, probably by like 15 to 20% in terms of graphics performance. And even if we upgraded to a 500 watt power supply just for insurance, if you wanted to eventually upgrade some components, you could. Then for the extra $19, you're looking at $1,050. So for $50 more, you're getting, honestly, a better PC than what you can get from VRLA Tech. But like I mentioned, upgradability is definitely going to be easier from VRLA's perspective than it will be from Dell. Just be forewarned, that is just sort of a caveat for these systems. But right now, the Dell PCs are honestly looking pretty fairly priced. Even when looking at a smaller competitor that is able to maybe charge a little bit less in order to sort of gain some competition and boost their brand name. Now, if we back away from sort of the entry-level PC area and go into some higher-end, some mid-tier gaming PC territory, then we're looking at either the Apollo or the Titan from VRLA Tech. Pretty nice cases, pretty nice design, pretty much the exact same build, just some different hardware on the inside. So you got a Ryzen 5 3600 with an RTX 2060, and that's going to cost you $1,200. And then you have an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X with an RTX 3070. Let's just get into the little nitty-gritty details of RAM and storage. So looking at the RAM, you're getting 16 gigs DDR4, so pretty much the same, and you're getting 120 gig NVMe with a 1 terabyte hard drive. Same 500 watt power supply and everything like that. And that is with a Ryzen 5 3600. So you're looking at 6 cores and 12 threads and a 2060. And then if we go to the Titan, the 3700X and a 3070, and for the most part, we're getting again 16 gigs of RAM, and now we jump up to a 240 gig SSD instead of NVMe and a 1 terabyte hard drive, and we're also jumping to a 650 watt power supply. So let's jump back to the Dell G5 and see what kind of comparison we can put together for that first build. So we're going to keep the 10400. It's still 6 cores. It's still 12 threads, just like the 3600. You're going to get some better performance on that 3600 for sure. But let's see what we can do in terms of graphics. So if we jump up $147, we get the same graphics card. So an RTX 2060, we get 500 watt power supply, 16 gigs of RAM, the 128 gig M.2, so NVMe drive, and 1 terabyte hard drive. So for $4 less, you're getting pretty much the same build. VRLA might take the upper hand on this one. One, the CPU is going to be a little bit better, and upgradability down the line will be better with VRLA Tech. But just for the show of it, if you spend the extra $49, so for an extra $45 over VRLA, you can get an RTX 2060 Super, which is going to be like 10-15% more graphics performance over the 2060. And that's where the Dell upgradability is really, really nice. So for the extra $45, this system becomes way more competitive versus that VRLA Tech PC. And I would honestly probably recommend the Dell G5 with that configuration over the Apollo at that sort of price point. Now, if we look at the Titan, so now we're looking at $1,700. We're looking at 8 cores, 16 threads, and an RTX 3070. Let's see exactly what we can do with the Dell G5 to get it pretty close to that build. And just for your awareness, this build that I have right here, the i5-10400 with the 2060 Super, can be delivered by April 26th, so almost 4 weeks out from when I'm making this video. So not bad shipping times either if you're comparing and you want a system sooner than later. 4 weeks from Dell versus probably 10 weeks from VRLA is looking pretty good in terms of Dell's favor. We're looking at an i7-10700F, so pretty comparable, still 8 cores, still 16 threads. Performance-wise, it's closer between the 3700X and the 10700F versus the 3600 and the 10400. And now we're looking at a 3060 Ti versus a 3070 at pretty much the same price. And this is really where VRLA Tech sort of takes the lead and takes the jump over Dell, is at this kind of price point. Once you get into the higher end graphics cards, this is where VRLA Tech honestly takes a big jump over Dell. But you do get 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig NVMe drive. So you're getting some better hardware in specific places, but not really where it matters in terms of graphics performance. And if we did jump up to a 3070, now you're looking at $1,850. So for an extra $160, you're better off going with VRLA. You can save the $160. And even though you're getting some slight jumps here and there in terms of some of the hardware, you're better off going with VRLA. This will ship and get to me by April 30th. So again, 4 weeks versus the 10-week or so lead time from VRLA. So if that 4-week extra or sooner lead time to get the PC is better for you and that is worth $160, then the Dell might be worth it. But for the most part, I would recommend going with VRLA 3700X and RTX 3070 for $1,700. And that thing is in stock. You can add it to your cart and you can get it. Of course, it's just going to take a little bit longer in terms of the shipping speeds and everything like that. Now, those are going to be the most similarly priced systems. I really don't recommend going any higher than a 3070 and a 10700 inside of the Dell G5. You're just not going to get that great of cooling performance and everything like that inside of that Dell case. But if you were to look at an i7-10700 and an RTX 3070 from VRLA with the Eclipse, it's $1,850, so the same price as the Dell, but this thing is water cooled. It's got a bunch of RGB, a better case, so you're looking at a better system overall for cheaper price from VRLA. So I would say once you get above the Titan, you're better off going with one of the systems from VRLA Tech versus going with something like the Dell. But anything under that, the Dell is honestly a really good competitor and might be worth saving the extra money and getting the PC quicker going through Dell. So what do you guys think? Who won this battle? Was it David or was it Goliath? Do you think VRLA or Dell is the better deal at this point? I mean, shipping speeds included, the components of the PCs, everything like that. What do you guys think, VRLA or Dell? Definitely leave that in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about any of these PCs or a different PC that you're looking at, definitely leave that in the comments below. And if you haven't already, definitely get subscribed to the channel, turn on post notifications so you can stay up to date on all my latest videos. and I'll see you guys in the next one.